We're now with the Human Relations Commission, and if you could introduce yourself and your colleagues and then make whatever presentation you'd like to make.
Thank you, Nardine. I'm Caroline Blackwell, the Executive Director of the Human Relations Commission, and we have Deb Palmer-George with us today, who is our first Vice Chair, and Mark Baugh, who is our Treasurer.
All right.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much. Thank you.
Good group.
Thank you for taking the time with us this morning. In ways that really count for the people of Metro and Davidson County, this has been a great year for the Metro Human Relations Commission. I continue to be grateful for the support that I receive from our commissioners, people that you've appointed to the commission, Nardine, as well as the executive committee, whose support and counsel I rely on a great deal. Together with our staff, I believe that we are really moving forward in a progressive human relations agenda. During the last 2 years, our primary goal was to enliven the department's mission and to build public trust and confidence in the value of the work that we do. And I believe that we are really making positive strides in that regard. We have strengthened relationships with peer organizations and peer departments, community groups, and we've raised the visibility as well as a level of service that the Commission provides to the community. I still hold fast to advice that you gave me my very first time sitting here, which was to hone in on something that we could do really well and to continue moving in that direction. And for us, it's been education. And so we've prioritized education. We've prioritized multicultural education as well as education for compliance, for civil rights and human rights compliance as the way and the lens through which we're doing our work. And so the evidence of that this year has been really grand. We had 160 students participate in our first Student Human Relations Summit. And right now we have 50 students who are poised to work with us during this spring to get set for the next summit in October. We were selected by the Metro Nashville Public Schools Employee Relations Department to conduct full-day diversity training with 2 Metro Public School departments. And after the very first session, which occurred last week, I'm pleased to report to you that the evaluations of that session were very, very good. We've partnered with the health department, with the public health department this year, and one of those partnerships produced a training of 130 people in nonviolent communication. About 50 of those participants were members of the public health department staff who work with some of the most vulnerable populations in North Nashville. As a result of that partnership, the Commission has been asked to engage in another program with the Metro Public Health Department, and that's set to start next month, provided we can get the grant money that we're looking for. We've collaborated this year with Belmont's Center for Executive Leadership to bring to Nashville a really unique conflict resolution program that's centered around workplace health and safety. We had our first public offering of that last week, I think it was last week, and offered substantial discounts to Metro department heads or leaders who wanted to participate. This year we had a 4-day restorative practices training. Again, the focus has been on educating the community, educating other Metro departments and employees on services and ways of approaching difference that would be successful. So we had that 4-day training. We followed up with that training and have created a little network, and we're going to build this network of practitioners who are working in Metro Public Schools as well as in the community in a restorative approach to conflict. We're supporting and continuing to support a number of community-based initiatives. This year, the Southern Solha, which is an intercultural peacemaking event, we were able to sponsor. The Youth Pavilion at Nashville Pride, the Nashville International Center for Empowerment, NICE's awards dinner we were sponsors of. All of these things we believe are really helping people to understand and see that we see a relationship between human and civil rights, and that we have a responsibility to everyone in Nashville, along with our motto, which is one city for all people. finally, we're really excited to have been able to participate in 2 events that I know are really dear to your department, Mayor Dean, one of them being Metro at 50 and Nashville Next. And so we had a wonderful luncheon sponsored and hosted by Baker Donaldson to commemorate the anniversary of Metro at 50, and 5 people who are members of the commission or staff people contributed to the first white paper on equity and inclusion that's part of Nashville Next, and that included Avi Poster, Dan Cornfield, who was actually the primary writer of that paper, Mark Etherly, our new staff person, contributed, I contributed, and Alistair Newburn. And so they were part of the Nashville for All of Us contingent, but it was a really great effort on the part of the commission, I believe, as well, to support that effort, and we'll continue to do that moving forward. I know that 2% of the budget doesn't seem like very much to most people. For us, it's a lot. Anything is a lot for our budget. We run a pretty lean ship, and so if we're required to absorb a 2% cut, we'll go ahead and do that. And I'll talk a little bit about where I think that money would come from. But first I want to say thank you for preserving our budget last year. We wouldn't have been able to do the Student Human Relations Summit. We wouldn't have been able to offer the sponsorship for the Sulha. And we also did something that was very neat at Celebrate Nashville this year, which was to have a wisdom circle. And it was the first time there at the celebration that the participants of the Global Village were able to come together, sit together, and talk about what it was like to be new residents of Nashville and what their hopes and aspirations are. So that was a really wonderful opportunity for us that was afforded by the budget that we have now. When I think about reducing our already lean budget, it's kind of reminiscent of the Solomon story. I mean, what do I, how do I divide a baby? And so we would probably look at cutting back some spending, the limited spending that we do in advertising. That would be something that would reduce, at least for us, some of the ways that we reach some of the linguistic different communities. We advertise in the Spanish language newspaper and African newspaper so that we're broadening the people who understand and know about the services of the commission. We last year really committed to making sure that any of our public programs, things that were on television or closed captioned, that cost $95 an hour, that's something that could be considered a frill that we would need to trim. This year, we're really poised to ramp up our public policy mandate as part of the Commission's business. And we have a new staff person and administrator, Mark Etherly, who is very keen and interested in doing this, is also very skilled at doing this. And so he's already developing partnerships for interns and research that we'll be able to do in the arena of public policy. Something like that, I don't know that we'd be able to move forward without some additional funding. We also have the opportunity to host a regional gathering for human rights and human relations organizations. If you'll recall, when we did the Hate Crimes Prevention Forum, we got lots of support from the Justice Department out of the Atlanta office, and they're really interested in working with us on doing this kind of event as well. So that would be something that I don't know whether or not we'd have the capacity for with a budget reduction. So we're obviously asking for our budget to remain the same and to be improved in any way that you might be inclined to do that. With that, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, you have 3.3 full-time employees.
Yes, we have a
Sounds like Solomon's already done it.
Indeed. We have with the departure of the former employees, I was able to do some adjustment in salary and pay grades. So we will still have a full-time program person, a full-time program person in compliance, which we're reopening the search for that, and hopefully that'll be filled by the end of the month. April, that is to say. And we now have a part-time office assistant position.
Okay. So the compliance position hasn't been filled this year?
Not since July. I've been doing those.
And what's involved? What are we not doing?
So far it's been calls that have come in with people who have had complaints or concerns or inquiries. Most of those have been in the area of housing. The ones that I didn't think that I would be able to sort of work with individually, I've outsourced to the Tennessee Fair Housing Council, and so I did that a couple of times. The others were inquiries that I was able to manage internally. We've also had some calls from other departments because of grants, and so I've responded to those as well.
Well, what's the volume of calls that you get?
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's been averaging about 2-3 a month.
But do you need that position? If it's not.
I think that we can do a lot with it, Mayor Dean. I don't think that people are as aware of the sources of support and help to them. I don't think that they're aware of their rights. They don't know that the Commission can support them. So I'm very interested in us maintaining that position and doing more outreach in the community.
Well, I guess my question would be, I mean, it goes back to how we started with, picking the thing you can do well and doing that and focusing on that, that if you have this position that hasn't been filled and the calls are, if they're 2 or 3 a month, why not use that money for the programming that's going to have a much more impact than having somebody within all the benefit issues and all the costs of having a full-time employee where there's apparently not a lot of work being generated right now?
I understand that position. I would say that that we would still need an outreach person. So whether or not
this is the compliance, but
right, but the compliance position as it's been drafted now doesn't look like what it used to look like. It's an outside education person, somebody who's going out into the community and working with people. So I changed the job description to better reflect the needs that we believe that we have, and so I'd be willing to change it again to provide more outreach services and research capability, which is something that I would also appreciate us having. We don't need a full-time person to do compliance. That is absolutely the case. What we need is someone who is capable of going out, doing training, supporting communities, doing outreach for our office, working on research, and so I've sort of recrafted the job description to try to take care of some of those needs.
Okay. Rich?
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, thank you we do appreciate all that you're doing, and it's a great board. Again, this is a board that are folks who care about the subject matter and care about the city, and I think that's reflected in the quality of the work. And I enjoyed my time at the 50th anniversary celebration that you all did, and enjoy anything I get to do with you all. So there's definitely a good feeling about the agency right now, I think.
Thank you.
Which is a good thing.
Thank you.
And baseball season begins next
does.
week, and I wish you good luck.
We're both looking terrible.
We're both looking terrible.
Councilman Stein.
And Councilman Stein has been with us this morning, and we appreciate that.
Do you have any questions for us?
Clearly, you must be fans of the junior circuit.
Not here. But you're welcome to ask anything.
Month after next.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.